Fish. Fish. What? Oh, mate.
There's something swirling, isn't it? Always worth nearly killing yourself. Good sign. Dead roach floating in the lot.
We are absolutely going to be spanked.
Jungle warfare.
That's the 6th pike I've lost today. That's one of the gunky bumpies, that one. Maybe another trip to the hospital.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Lure Battle. We hope you enjoyed the first 6 episodes, which saw 12 anglers reduced to 6. Now we're into the semi-finals, and in this next 3 episodes we will reduce the 6 anglers down into 3 who will go into the finals. You should all know the rules by now, so we'll get straight into introducing the anglers who will be fishing in this episode. Today will be the winners of episode 1 and 2, which is Gunki UK's Ash Costa and Shimano's Adam Jones. Both anglers fished well in episode 1 and 2, but now we'll get to see which one's got what it takes to get into the finals. It looks like Adam Jones will be the first one on the bank, so let's meet up with him now and see what he's got planned.
Morning. Here we go, round 2 of the Lure Battle, and the weather has had other ideas. Last week I had the flu, and me and Ash have moved our event a week later, and it is absolutely horrible. We've got blue sky, high pressure, flooded rivers for both of us. It's going to be a really, really tough day. But today I'm going to try and drop in on a couple of spots that have big perch. Everything is, super flooded. We're talking like 2 foot higher than it should be, at least. So we're going to see if we can find a couple of perch. And then I've got a backup pike option on a more of a chalk stream system, hopefully, where we'll be able to pick up a couple of big pike later on. But it's going to be hard work, but that's fishing. So we're going to try and give it a go, see if we can find a couple of perch now. We've got a couple of hours before it gets a bit bright. Got 2 or 3 spots on the river that I know hold fish. And obviously with this flood water, it's pointless fishing anywhere else unless we know that they're holding in a slack. So we'll give this a go, and then we'll head off and try and find some pike. Fingers crossed, best of luck to Ash. I've spoken to him this morning. I know he's in exactly the same boat as me. So it's 7:39, about to take the first cast. So this is going to be a seriously tough day. I feel like it's the same as round 1. You know, this high pressure system that we're in at the moment is going to make things difficult. And then on top of that, the amount of water in the system, both systems that we're going to fish today, is pretty intense. Like I said, the positive is we're fishing over spots that definitely hold fish. The negative, without being too negative about things, is the slacks that they would hold in are no longer slacks. So they might not be holding exactly where I think they're going to be. And with clarity of 2 inches, it's going to be very, very difficult to search them out. So we are literally going to drop, stop and roll, see if we can catch a few fish as we drop in on places, and then go back to other places that we know hold fish and just see if we can find one of those slacks. I'm pretty confident that when we go to the trout stream later on that we're going to find a couple of pike. Fingers crossed. Clarity up on that stream is going to be slightly better than this. But 3 perch is going to be the key. Filling a card, that's competition 101, right? It's just fill a card. But filling a card with, it's Ash Costa at the end of the day. You've got to be expecting to fill a card with 3 40-centimetre perch. It's going to be tough for both of us today. But, Ash knows his onions. He knows where those perch are as well, even in floodwater conditions. So one of us is going to have a decent fish. Just going to have to wait and see.
Well, it looks like Adam's fishing from the bank today, which is a big surprise to me. But as he said, the rivers are very, very flooded, so I imagine it would have been difficult getting the boat out. It might have been an easier option for him to go on a lake or canal if the rivers are that bad. But I suppose if he knows the rivers better and he knows where the fish will be hiding while it's flooded, he's still got a very good chance of catching them. He's been fishing for a little while now already, but Adam is on the water, so let's hope he gets into some fish soon.
I've currently reached that point after about half an hour. I'm now fishing with limited confidence. We're dealing with literally 2 inches of visibility. And the hard thing is, I obviously know that there's fish here. All of the slacks are different and the visibility is naff, so you're kind of reliant on putting it on top of one of their heads and getting a reaction strike. And to be honest, with it set up like this, I'm not sure that we're going to get one here. So it's going to be about changing the plan again, moving on to the next spot, which is a big slack. And there's less influence on that slack, so hopefully the fact that the water is right up will mean that they've really been compressed into the slack, and there'll be a few knocking around there. And also, being more protected, the colour of the water in the slack might be better. I mean, I knew this was going to be a scratchy day, but we're already scratching. I've also just found out I'm not allowed to use jig flies, which was a big part of my plan. So going to have to come up with a different pike plan over the next few hours as well. We'll give this another 5 minutes, see if we can catch a big one, and then head off to another spot.
Losing confidence in your fishing just 30 minutes into the session is not a good start. Personally, I think he should go find a lake and go fish that. It sounds like the floodwater is really putting him off his game, but we'll see how it goes. He's called it already. Between him and Ash, there is going to be a big perch caught, so we'll see if that does happen. But it looks like it's time for Ash to hit the water now, so let's see what his plan is. Let's see what the conditions are like for his fishing, and yeah, hopefully he's got a little bit more confidence than Adam does.
So welcome to round 2 of the lure battle. I'm Ash Costa, and today we're on another Fenland River. I was really looking forward to today until we had 3 days of pretty much solid rain. Now the river looks more like chocolate, so I'm a bit gutted about that. Last time we was on this venue, I did a tutorial session with someone the other week. Fished really well, lots of fish, 40 and above. But looking at it today, it's going to be tough. So we're really going to give it probably 20, maybe 30 minutes max. And then we're going to go to a venue that I really didn't want to fish. It's very uninspiring. It's more like a big dike, really. You've got about 18 inches of water in it. But it's the only one that's sort of fishable. It's sort of like the backup venue if we did have a lot of rain. And unfortunately, it's probably looking like we're going to be spending most of the day on there. We have took a risk. We have come out a fair way. But if the fish are here, we should catch them fairly quickly. If all of the rainwater that's been pushed through the system has moved the fish, then, you know, then unfortunately that's plan A, B and C pretty much that's gone to pot. But we'll give it our best. And it does feel a little bit like a free hit, this, with all of the rainwater that we've had. We're up against Adam Jones today, who's another real high quality angler, so he's going to be tough to beat anyway. But like I say, we're going to give it our best go, and we'll see how it goes. Right, so this is the first cast. There is quite a lot of water pushing through, so we're going to stay pretty close to the edges. And if we don't get a bite fairly quickly, then it's going to be we'll chalk an hour off. It's bang on 8 o'clock. It's going to take probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes to get to the second venue. But once we're there, that's going to be pretty much it for the day. There are other spots that we could hit. And if this was just a general pleasure session where we wanted to catch some big fish, that's probably what I would do. But obviously today we haven't really got the luxury of messing about too much. So yeah, if it don't pay off here, we'll go to a venue where catching a pike shouldn't be a problem this time, but I am concerned about the perch. But like I say, it's a sod's law. The one thing we can't control is the weather. And the worst thing that could have happened is that we had a load of rain before this. We was actually supposed to do this last Thursday, during that cold spell. But unfortunately Adam fell ill, so we had to postpone it a week. And on the Friday, like I say, I took somebody out on like a bit of a guiding session, and sort of again, like the worst case was all the big fish were there to be caught. A lot of them was caught, and then we've had all this rain, so yeah, it's just one of them things, unfortunately. So starting off on the Ned rig, you can really slow along the edge. there's no need to try to sort of locate the fish or anything today, because if they're in this area, they will be around here. But yeah, I'm not too confident on this particular venue looking at the colour of it, but again, like I say, we have got a backup venue that we will catch fish on. It's just whether we can get the perch, and if we do find the perches, can we get them at the size that we need, which is another thing. We really want to be looking at free fish in the 40s. To catch one fish there in the 40s is definitely achievable. To catch 3, that might be a tall order. Like I say, you've literally got about 18 inches. When you do get a fish, if you miss it, your lure's literally coming flying out of the water right in your face. So it's not the best of venues, really. It used to be a venue that used to do some monster pike and some cracking perch, but unfortunately, like so many of the Fenland waters, I think it seems to have had its heyday due to, like I say, pollution incidents, poor fishery management. It's it's a shame to what we once had to what we now have in this area. It's a bit of a gutter. Is the amount of water that's come through it, if it's just pushed the fish out of the area. Bloody Baltic, mate. So this is looking like it's been a bit of a waste of time, but we had to try it. You know, if we didn't try it, I'd be wondering whether, were the fish still here? They're clearly not. When we was here the other week, by this time we would have had several fish on the bank, including a couple of good fish. So we're going to go to the other venue, which it was an option to start on and just grind it out and stay on it. But spending a couple of hours on that venue can be taxing, so 8 hours is a bit like, oh Christ. But I think that's going to be our only real option. I think, like I say, it is a venue that seems to get affected less by the rain, or the least affected. It is still coloured, and there is still water pushing through it, but nothing like what we've got on here. Clarity is probably similar to what's on here, but I think that's probably going to be our best bet today. A lot of the other drains are either up, coloured, pushing through. Problem is with a lot of the fen drains is they're so straight, you haven't got the bends in the river, you don't have the slacks to work, so the fish just literally sink to the bottom and move into the edges. But it's with bank access on the fen drains, it can be really challenging. Like you look here, we've got quite a lot of water in front of us, but it can be challenging to actually get to the water itself unless you're on a boat. And obviously we've got to take into account that we're being filmed as well, so it's difficult sometimes just to get down there on your own. So I think we'll work our way back up to where the gear is. I'll grab the pike rod, I'll have one cast each way with it, and then we're going to get onto that other venue and then try and bore a few fish out, I think.
A very tough start for both the anglers today with the floodwater. It sounds like they're both banking on the backup venues, which could be very interesting as they both sound like very small bodies of water. I feel like it's going to be a day of few fish, but if they get them, they should be decent fish. So let's keep our hopes up for some good fish and hope that one of these anglers manages to use their watercraft and expertise to find the big fish.
So we're going to move to that other venue now. It was worth a go here, just on the off chance, but it was always going to be a tall order with, like I say, the river coloured running through like it is. But we will catch on that other venue, but the perch are a concern. We'll definitely catch the pike, but the perch can be funny on that venue.
Right, so give you an idea of how bad this is today, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be similar for Ash. This is not a river, this is the road to the car park. To get to the river that is over there, that is probably this far underwater on its highest point. I mean, there's got to be 5 foot of water on this particular section. So we are officially scratching. We're going to head to the canal and see if we can catch a couple of 20 centimetre perch and save a card, but absolutely crazy.
It looks like the river is a write-off for Adam there. It would have been great to see him to try catch some fish on the road. I think he should have got some bonus points if he'd managed to get a perch or a pike over the road. But it sounds like a very safe bet going to the canal. There might not be the bigger fish there, but if he can scrape out a full card and Ash is still struggling against the floodwater, that could mean a win for Adam. So it's definitely worth a change of venue with the conditions as they are.
Right, so everything seems to be against us today. Flooded river, and when I say flooded river, I mean it's just ridiculously flooded. It's crazy colour and just so much water, 4 or 5 foot in places. It really is mad. So we've moved from the river, then we got stuck behind a load of bin lorries, then we got stuck in traffic on the dual carriageway, then we went back to the river to find out it was even more flooded, then we got back onto dual carriageway, even more traffic, but we have made it to Costa Coffee, and that is going to make things slightly more bearable. But the whole way back I've been trying to work out what the plan is, and I think the plan just has to be try and fill a card. 5 fish is gonna be the play, and I've got to catch 3 25 centimetre perch. I think any perch on the card, and then hopefully a couple of pike. The no jig fly scenario has played with my plan slightly, so I'm trying to work out how I can kind of manipulate a trailer to give me a bit more of a floaty presentation potentially, but that's for a few hours time. I think for now we're going to get onto the canal. It's perfect perch fishing conditions, nice and bright, high pressure, but we're going to go and have a little look at a couple of kind of inlets into the canal where there's obviously water coming in. It's a little bit clearer because there's a bit of movement, and hopefully there'll be a few wasps hanging around. So we'll drink the Costa. Let's go see if we can find at least 1 perch. Come on.
Right, so we've just literally wasted an hour and a half, but it was worth doing because you never know. The river, it doesn't look the best. Like I say, there were some dead bait anglers there as well. They'd not had anything. So we've come to the second venue, which is going to be where we pretty much spend the rest of the day, purely because it's the only one in the area that's not tanking through. It's not completely coloured, although it has got a fair bit of colour in it. It's incredibly shallow, and it was once an absolute amazing big pike fishery. But those were many years ago now, and it's a shadow of its former self, but again, it's pretty much the best option that we've got. So we're going to go with a Texas rig, one of the Gunki Hurricanes. Again, for someone, I really didn't enjoy creature bait fishing up until recently. It's not something that I had a huge amount of confidence in. I always used to prefer stick baits, things like that, but seeing a couple of my friends do quite well on creature baits recently, and giving these a proper go, I can't believe how effective they have been for perch and pike. This is the 5 centimetre one, because hopefully, ideally, we want to get the perch. But they do a 7.5 and a 10 centimetre as well, which the 10 centimetre one is again really good pike bait. But it's very weedy here. You've got like a little bit of a track in the middle where the weed's not too bad, so that's where we're sort of going to concentrate on to start with. As soon as you go in the edge, there's a lot of low-lying crap, so we'll see if we can get an early fish, which will be a real bonus, especially if it's a perch. And we'll keep working the section. So I'm just going to switch over to a Ned, ever so slightly different presentation. What we'll do is stick a little bit of scent on it. I have had these soaking in scent anyway, but scent's one of those things that it's whether it makes a difference or just gives the angler more confidence. I'm a fan of it. And the Ilex gels, and they do a spray as well. The spray's really good for like just spraying in the actual packs and just leaving them to soak, where the gel, it does last quite a long time. It does stick really well onto the lures. I think it's a little pike. It is a little pike and all. Christ. Well, it's the first fish, but it's not very big. So he is just over 50, he's a 59, so not a big pike at all. He's just a fraction off a 60, but hold that really tight, that mat, 'cause it's not the best ground for an accurate measure, but you can see there I'm holding that tight, 59 centimetre. So he's a tiny little pike, probably one of the smaller ones in here, but at least we're off the mark. Today is going to be a struggle, unfortunately, but at least we've got one on. We've got one on the mat. I say catching pike of this size shouldn't be particularly difficult on this venue. What does concern me is catching, free perch over 40 centimetres out of here could be a really tall order, but we'll see what happens.
Finally, the first fish of the day is caught. Going to Ash Costa, a 59 centimetre pike. It's not a huge fish, but I'm sure that's very rewarding after a difficult morning. I wonder if adding that scent made the difference there for that fish. But it's the first fish on the board, and who knows, if the fishing carries on so bad, that might be the only fish of the day, but I don't think it will be. I feel like there'll be a few more fish caught now, and I feel like that'll have just given Ash a little boost of confidence there, and that can always be helpful to help you catch more fish.
Right, so just reported that pike in. Driving up here, because it is a fair old drive from that first spot, I was talking to Ollie about sort of like targets of the day, and I think the first round we didn't even break 300, so if we can get 300 points today, which is again, given the venue that we're fishing, is a bit of a tall order, but that's the target anyway. If we can get 300, that's sort of our thing done, and then obviously if Adam beats that, then fair play. It would have been nice on the other venue. I think getting over 400 would have been more than achievable because of the amount of 40 plus centimetre perch that venue was producing. But I think in here, if we can get even 3 fish averaging sort of 35, I think we would have done exceptionally well. One other thing as well that I just did there is obviously we are targeting the perch at the minute. If you do catch a pike and you have got fluoro straight through, always just check that leader, just to make sure there's no nicks in it, and if there is, just bite it off, retie it. That one was fine though, no nicks in it, he was hooked right in the edge of the mouth, so we got lucky there. Something that I noticed in the summer, and it was a bit of an eye-opener. I was fishing down a spot, really, really clear water, and there was a pod of fish, all over 3, some of them possibly pushing 4. And these fish were in such a tight group, it was so easy to miss. It was only the fact that I saw the fish, and they were literally half a pool table away from each other, and there was, I say, half a dozen of these really, really good sized fish. And that's in the summer, where you sort of associate fish to be a little bit more spread out, not quite so tightly shoaled. And it shows you how easy it is to miss fish. Like, we've been picking this area apart now for maybe 15 minutes, and we've had that one pike, so not even the right species, but it does, seeing that in the summer and a couple of other times where I've seen things like that. When we tend to go to an area and fan cast, we might cast one down the bank, we might cast then sort of in the middle, then towards the other side. But I do think if you've got the patience for techniques like nedding, drop shot, things like that, it really does pay just to give each spot that extra 15-20 minutes, just to, like, when you're doing your casts, instead of casting a few foot away from each other, you're literally sometimes talking inches. It is boring, it takes time, but the rewards can be more than worth it. Like I say, it's so easy to miss fish. And when you are fishing venues that are clear, you do see things that in other venues you wouldn't see, but that's probably a regular occurrence. You know, you get these big fish all shoaled up in a really, really small area. So it's just something to bear in mind that when you do go to a spot and you're fan casting about, maybe instead of having like, I don't know, let's say 10 casts in each spot, maybe give it 20 or even 30 and sort of space your casts out a little bit narrower. We're just going to change tactics just for a couple of casts and chuck a bigger bait out and see if we can get that second pike. We've got somebody fishing the other side of the bridge now, which is a little bit annoying because when you've obviously we're sort of saving that area and then going on there next, so it is a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So I've just had another contact from a pike, unfortunately come off, but I'm just going to tie on just a jig head, 1.3 grams, so I'm hoping it don't bury in the weed quite as much as that Texas rig was. Got a small wire trace on. What I always do when I tie these wire trace up, now it's not the most practical for when you're wanting to change jig heads and things like that, but when you look at a lot of the jig heads that you get that are on the market, the eyes on them are really small, so when you then put a clip through that, it doesn't give you a lot of free movement, so I tend to put a loop in the end of my wire traces where the jig head can just run a little bit more free on it. Like I say, when I do want to change the weight and the jig head, I am going to have to then cut the whole thing off, but that's ready to go all the time now. I've got that trace pre-made on it. I don't put a swivel or anything on because again it's just something else to pick up weed, so I just tie a loop in one end with a figure of 8 and then tie the jig head on with a loop knot. So by putting that smaller weight, that 1.3 gram jig head on, we're able to fish it closer into the margin without it picking up all the weed. And if the pike are laid up near in amongst all of the reeds and that, it's just giving me more of an option to go a little bit closer without it just plummeting straight into all the weed. Just like that, and he's off. That's 2 lost pike. But well, it shows you that the concept works anyway, just my hook up. You can see how close that fish was to us, and like I say, you'd never know he was there. You'd see that puff of silk come up where he struck. They're literally right at your feet. Just shows you that they're not as wary as what we always try to be really quiet on the bank and things, and I think sometimes they're a lot closer than what you actually realise. So, like I say, we've got plenty of time left. We'll definitely catch the other pike. Like I say, we've had the one that we've caught, and we've had a couple of other contacts. So that's not. I don't think that's going to be an issue. The issue is the perch. There is a spot not too far from here that is very prolific. When you've had the rain like we've had, there's water pumping through it. Can fish even better. It's done loads of 40s, brilliant spot, but the local club's now banned fishing it, so cheers for that. Fish. So what we've done there is just switching over to that heavier weight. Before we moved, I just wanted to see whether it was worth putting it back through here, but with a much faster retrieve, not letting it sink, and first cast, and he's nailed it. So it just goes to show, same lure, on a straight, same technique, jig head, but just heavier. That's the pike card field, albeit they're very small. But But no, I reckon he's almost, I think he's bang on the same length as the other one. A little bit shorter. Yes, he's just touching 59. This shows you exactly the same technique, just slightly heavier weight, fished much faster, and again we got a reaction bite out of this one. It's 59 centimetre again, same length as the other one, maybe a little bit chunkier. But so we've got the 2 pike we need. Now it's like, do we try to upgrade these for a bit, or do we just go straight onto the perch and see if we can get those? That's going to be the challenge of the day, catching those perch. So we'll stick him back, and then we can make a decision on what's the best thing to do for the rest of the day. So anyway, lovely little chunky fish, really healthy. We'll slip him back.
That's the second pike caught for Ash Costa, putting his score at 118 centimetres. I bet he's very happy to get those 2 fish ticked off. There might not be a lot of fish caught so far, but there's been a lot of knowledge shared from Ash. So I hope you guys are picking up some great tips from this, because I'm definitely learning a lot here from Ash. It's really great to get an insight into how he fishes and how small changes can just make such a difference to his catch rate. So we'll see how he gets on now in his next spot. 3 more perch and he's got a full card. Adam has got a little bit of catching up to do, but you never know what's going to happen in this.
So we've just moved literally like a stone's throw upriver to where we just was. Still fishing the shad at the minute, because obviously we've got a chance of the perch that we need, but the 2 pike that we've got on the card are very small. You'd be pretty unlucky to catch another pike and not beat those 2. So what's something though that just swirled nearer the bridge. Let's whack that down there, see what happens. Say again, mate.
Speak for me.
Yeah, sorry. So somehow we have managed to catch another pike that's smaller than the first 2. Unbelievable. So we've caught, I think, 3 of the smallest pike in the whole system. Another pike. This one's even smaller. So yeah, I think we've caught the 3 smallest pike in the whole drain. So we'll pop him back and we'll see if we can either upgrade him or get a bigger perch. Well, any perch actually would be nice. Too much weed on this bottom bit, you just can't present a bait. There's stuff that we could do, try different rigs and things like that just to sit on top of the weed, but I say I don't really want to be messing about too much. So let's move. Fish. So we're on a Ned again, so he's off. That was a better fish, it's annoying. Check out leader. Yeah. So there was a bloke fishing here just before we got down here. Well, he sort of turned up as we was fishing. But I was watching how he was fishing, and he was fishing on shads quite fast. So because he was already in, he's already covered this. I always like to watch what other people are doing, so I can basically go in there and do the opposite, and then pick up any fish that he's missed. Which is, I think, what we obviously it's come off, which is really annoying because that was definitely an upgrade on the pike. But it just sort of shows you that's a very effective way of fishing an area that somebody else has already fished. It's what the Ned rig, it was invented. It was actually invented as a short range technique to be fished off the back of a boat, the bass fishing scene, to mop up the fish that the angler at the front missed. And that sort of just perfectly demonstrates it. Like I say, it's already been covered by another angler. We've come in on the Ned, completely opposite presentation, speed and everything to what he was just doing. And then we've had an instant hit. Unfortunately, like I say, a bit of a gutter that's come off because that looked like it's probably a 70 centimetre plus fish. But again, it's fishing, isn't it? You can't get them all.
Unlucky there for Ash losing that fish, but at least he's getting a bit of action. He's lost about 3 fish and landed 3 fish, so it's not too bad for the conditions. Let's go see what Adam's getting up to, and hopefully he's finding some fish on the canal.
Right, so we've reached the canal, and I was just saying to Brad, the plan is there's an inlet further up, and there's another one further down. It's probably 400 yards that way, and maybe a mile down there. And my starting plan for the day was to try and catch some big perch, but that's not looking likely. And now the plan is catch any perch, because I think if I can catch 3 fish for the card, 25 centimetre type size, because they're double points, if I can then catch 2 nice pike, which I think I've got a pretty good chance of today, fingers crossed, then that's a proper card. Whereas if I don't put any perch on the card, the pike are only worth 1 centimetre for centimetre, whereas the perch are worth double. So if you catch 2 85 centimetre pike and don't catch any perch, and Ash goes out and catches 3 35 centimetre perch, then I'm going to be knackered. So the plan is to head down the canal, but as with all types of fishing, I can't resist just dropping in and casting along. But today is a competition, I've got to remember that. So we're going to head down the canal and see if we can find some in one of these inlets. Come with us. Jungle warfare. To head down the canal. There's some trees a bit further down that will give us a bit of protection from that sunshine. I've got to try and put all of the odds in our favour, and currently lots of them are not, so it's a mile that way. Let's go. It's always worth nearly killing yourself for wasp spots that aren't producing. That's what I always say. It's one of my key tips. God, that is a lot easier than climbing underneath it. Oh. So I'm doing that thing again where I said I'm going to walk further down the canal to a spot that might have a congregation of fish, but the canal lure angler in me can't walk past a bridge without making a cast. But like I was just saying to Brad, who's on the camera, there's not very much time in the day really. You can't really afford to be naffing about, especially when things are difficult, but you've got to cover a bridge, haven't you?
He is right there. It's very difficult not to stop at a spot that looks really good when you're just passing it.
Definitely
but
something.
Who knows?
Swirling,
one of these
wasn't it?
bonus spots might spring up a surprise fish. So it could definitely be worth stopping. It does sound like he's got a pretty long walk as well, so no reason not to have a few casts along the way and pick up some bonus fish, hopefully.
That was a 15 centimetre perch. It's what everybody wants. This is so badly flooded, it's ridiculous. This is usually like, you can imagine where that tree is. You see where the boil is? You can usually stand on that boil. Good sign. Dead roach floating in the lock.
Unfortunately, Adam's day is not going to plan. I think the conditions are the worst he could possibly have hoped for, but he does have his backup spot to come later in the afternoon, so if he can get a couple of good pike there and Ash doesn't get any perch, he's still got a chance of going through to the finals. It's now time for the Midway phone report so both anglers can find out what each other have caught. Ash has just changed spots again before the phone report, so we'll go back to him on the new spot and we'll listen to the phone report and see what they think of it.
I'm in the fens, yeah. I'm in the fens on the only fishable drain at the minute. I've had 2 59cm pike and 3 massive perch of a combined length of 0.
Good lad. So your combined length though is 2 pike. Ash,
Yeah, 118.
118.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy days. It's a bit broken up. I don't know if you got that, Adam.
Yeah, no, I got that. That's good. Ash, I mean, I'm chasing you hard, mate. I'm in the Thames and Kennet Valley at the moment on a magical mystery tour. Everything's flooded. I've got a grand total of 0 perch, and I haven't started the pike fishing yet. So I'll keep you on your toes, mate. But this perch fishing lark is.
Well, this is going to be an entertaining episode, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, mate. I tell you what, I've net the Thames. There's a bit of the Thames that I usually stand on that's like 5 foot above the water, and it is 3 foot underwater at the moment. So crazy.
Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?
It is.
Well, it's definitely going to be a big. The 2 perch anglers are catching the perch. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's been a shocker, mate. It's been an absolute shocker.
No pressure for either of you then.
No. We're very close to a pub, and that's looking like the best option at the minute.
Me and Brad's have just walked like 25 minutes to a little back stream that I thought might be all right, and it turns out that it's now a back lake, which is not fishable, so another 20 minutes to walk back to the car.
Happy days. Well, enjoy yourselves. I will talk to you both at the end, and good luck. Keep plugging away, and I will speak to you both later.
Cheers. Speak to you later, Ash.
All right, well, good luck, mate.
You too, mate.
See you later, mate.
Ta-ra, mate. Bye. Right. There we go. I think it's 118 centimetres on the card for my 0, but the good news is that perch fishing is hard. There is a decent pike spot for an hour and a half later on. I don't know why I'm looking now. I haven't got my watch on, so I don't know how long we've got. I think it's about 10 past 12. So a couple of casts here, potch around, see if I can catch a couple of perch, and then I think it's just going to have to be pike. But Ash, being the angler he is, has already nailed off a couple of pike. So I'm going to annoy Brad immensely and get him to stomp 25 minutes back to the car before we move spots. But yeah, I'll give this a little go and then we'll move on.
Okay, well, I'm going to apologise now that this may turn out to be the most dire episode of lure fishing you're ever going to see in your life. That's not good, is it? Just shows you, though, the difference a week can make. Before we had all that rain, the amount of people across the country that was catching big perch, not just any perch, you know, it was fishing its nuts off, you know. And you look at it now, I can't buy a bite, Adam's struggling as well. It's, yeah. But I suppose it does give you a real insight into lure fishing, really. You know, I know with social media, it does give you that perception that, you know, we're out all the time, always catching big fish, and it ain't the case. This is what you like, what you don't see, and it's, you know, and most of the time it, you know, it can be a grind. You know, the fact that we can't even catch a 20 centimetre perch says everything, really, doesn't it? So I think I don't really know what to do. Normally, I'm like, right, we'll switch venue, we'll switch venue again. But yeah, I'm a little bit stuck at what to do now. 118 is not exactly an amazing score. I know Adam's not got anything yet, but you've got to assume that at some point he's going to drop on some fish. You can't, well, okay, that's great, you know, because we've still got nearly 4 hours left. There's plenty of time for things to change. So what I think we'll probably do is persevere here. Maybe I'll have another 3 or 4 casts on that. Maybe go on drop shot for 5 minutes, and then I don't know. There is one more river that we could hit where it's coloured, it's running through, but there are slacks on that river, which obviously we get very few on the drains apart from places like this. So that might be worth a go, but again, it's like another half-hour drive. Or do we go back to the first spot and just keep grinding away, knowing that it's done a few 40 centimetre fish recently? So yeah, it's not when it's not going your way. Sometimes your decision making is not always the best. So let's see if we can at least catch one perch and go from there.
Well, the tough fishing still continues. I feel like the phone report might have put a little bit more confidence into both anglers. Let them both know that the fishing is difficult for the other guy as well. So who knows what could happen. Adam, if he goes through a chalk stream and gets 2 really good pike, he could win this. And if Ash just gets a few small perch, he could very easily win this as well. It's still very much anyone's game because there's been so little fish caught. But let's see what happens for the afternoon. Hopefully a few more fish. If not, I'm sure we'll get a few more tips off the guys.
I've just switched over to drop shot and I am getting proper bites now. I've just had 2, but they've not fully committed. I've got a small bait on as well, so what might be the issue, if, and it's a big if we do start catching, is if they're even legal size. I think they've got to be over 15 centimetre. I don't think there's any point. There's a fish. Finally. Now, it's whether or not does it count. Oh, let's let him settle. So he is. You see that he's on 18 there. You happy with that? So I can honestly say I think this is the smallest perch I've actually tried to hold the dorsal fin up ever. 18 centimetre. And a couple of hours ago I would have thought if we caught a fish double that length it still wouldn't have been good enough for the smallest fish. So it just shows you how tough it's been today so far. But yeah, beautiful fish, and again he's a future giant potentially, so we have to treat these fish with respect, make sure they go back nice and safe. So it might seem ridiculous going to like this sort of lengths releasing a fish of that size, but you have to remember that it's that 4-pounder that we all want to catch started out like this, and you have to treat them with, especially with what's gone on in like my neck of the woods with all the pollutions where we've literally had whole ecosystems crashing. It does pay just to sort of put yourself out just for a couple of extra seconds just to release them safely. And again, this is where a net with a long handle really does help. So we'll report that fish in to Dave, and then let's see if we can catch a bigger one. I said that with a pike and we ended up catching a smaller one, so we can't afford to go much smaller because it won't count. Right, so I've just sent that over. We get 2 more. Get 2 more of those, which I think we may as well just grind it out here until we do. And I think really the only option is to go back to where we was, maybe fish it on slightly bigger baits where we're going to either hopefully upgrade the pike with the chance of just getting that one solid thump from a real big one, perch. Again, it's not an area where you're going to catch big 40s. It used to be, it ain't anymore. But if we can get a 40, which we have caught this previous week from there, then that'll be like the cherry on the cake. And then again, if we fill the card, we get a 40 on the mat, and it's not enough to go through, then I think given the conditions, it's all we've done all we can do. So that's the plan anyway. Let's see if we get another one of these first.
The first perch of the session is finally caught. It only took about 6 hours, and it's only 18 centimetres. But it is good to see one on the bank.
Oh, he's come
now
off.
He's had one. I feel like he should be able to get a few more in that spot.
Oh,
but I'm just
annoying.
happy to see a fish in this video, as I'm sure Ash is as
That was
well.
a monster,
And again,
that one.
some
That could have
great
been 20
fish care there
centimetre.
from Ash. He does really respect these fish, which is great to see.
Right, that's unfortunate. We've lost some fish today, haven't we? What is going on? Got some of the sharpest hooks on the market, and we still can't hook up with some of these fish. What is going on? Fishing is a little bit more aggressive than normal, but that seems to be what the fish want. I'll hardly move a drop shot usually, but a bit weird really, because normally they'd want something like a shad fished quite quickly, but they weren't interested in that. But yet drop shot fished a little bit more erratically. Seems to be the way forward. Fish. Oh, I hate fishing. I really hate it sometimes. We've had sessions where I've pulled out like 3-pounders, I've lost some fish considerably bigger than that, and you're like, alright. These ones are really starting to get on my nerves. Water, they seem to be right on the edge of the ledge. Fish. Don't come off, don't come off, don't come off. Yes! Well, it's another absolute whacker. Right, we'll go and put him on the mat. I reckon he's probably about 17. This is ridiculous. 19 centimetre. Wow. So just to sort of, a bit of an example of how much it's been a bit of a struggle today. We got even Ollie, the cameraman, is apologising, asking me to hold this up. But I kind of hope that Adam does pull something out of the bag and catches a big perch, just so you've all got something to actually like see in this episode, because if it carries on the way it's going, it's not going to be the most entertaining one. So we're going to slip him back, see if we can get one more, and then it's just going to be a grind for a big one. So we'll pop him back. A big fish in the future, that. He's already got that real high hump look coming through. Some of the fish that we've had from this spot in the past have been like mind-boggling, huge fish. So it's another reason as well, just to take that little bit of extra care with these fish, because you know, potentially that little fish that we've had there has been spawned by one of those big 4-pounders that used to roam about these drains. So we can only hope that that is potentially a future 4. Like I say, even though he's a tiny fish, he's already got the big hump on his head and that. You know, you imagine him at 45 centimetres long with a big belly on him and that, it's going to be a hell of a fish. So, right, let's see if we can get one more, and then let's see if we can get a big one. Just reported that fish in to Dave. Hopefully we can get one more. But fishing for these little fish like this, it does get you sort of like thinking about things and that. And if I could give anybody one tip to take into their fishing, no matter whether you're a lure angler or whatever, is take your fishing serious, but take yourself lightly. You've got 2 so-called big perch anglers going against each other today, and we're absolutely desperate to catch 15+ centimetre perch. You know, it's when I got drawn up against Adam and that, straight away you think, oh, this could be a really good episode. This if Adam's on form and get some mid-40s or even bigger, and I can do the same, you could have potentially put an episode together that was like a bit special. And then you look at what we're actually trying to do at the minute and what I can imagine Adam's going through. I mean, he might be completely different. He may have found like a pod of them big fish and that he's caught so many off in the past, and he could absolutely obliterate me. But if he is going through the same sort of thing as what I am, you know, you have got to see the humour in that. You know, I think, oh yeah, look, those two, and they was catching big perch. I was more happy with that 19 than what I was my last 45.
Some good advice there from Ash Costa just after his second perch. That leaves him on 192 points now, and with just one fish to fill the card. Adam, still no fish on the card. So Ash has got quite a big lead now. But, like I say, who knows what could happen. He might find a really good pod of fish. So, let's hope for some more fish now. But it is looking very one way, this competition so far.
Yay! Right, that's the full card done. That's another absolute zoo creature, that one. So, nose up against the board. He's just on 19. You see his tail's just gone past the yellow mark. So that's number 3. We've got a full card now. I thought if we did a full card today, I was thinking, oh, we're going to be in the 3s, maybe even 400. We're quite way off of that yet. He's away. So that proved to be a lot more difficult than that should have been. But we've got the full card now, so I think what we're going to do is probably head back to the other section and finish up on there. I don't really want to. It's very, well, like you saw earlier, it's very same old, a little bit boring because it's only a small section. But like I say, I don't really think we've got any other options. There is one more venue, but it's about a half-hour drive. And if we get there and it's tanking through, it's a waste, and that's an hour lost without any fishing whatsoever. So I don't think it's worth the risk doing that. I've not seen that venue since the rain, so it normally colours up, but it's normally coloured anyway. And if it's tanking through, it'd be impossible to fish anyway. So I don't think we're going to risk that. We might have a look at one venue on the way back to the other one. Maybe have a cast there, depending on how it looks. But I think it's more than likely going to just grind out that first area, knowing it's done a couple of 40s recently, and hope we get lucky and drop on one. So that's the plan.
And that's the full card there for Ash Costa. The pressure must be off for him now. Only 230 points, but on a very, very difficult day, that is still a very good score. Let's go back to Adam now, and hopefully he's started to find a few fish.
Feels like you wouldn't even catch him on a worm today. Mental. It's working like shit. They're quite active though today, aren't they? Tell you what, the lure looks fantastic. I'd eat it, but turns out the pike don't fancy it. Not even the trout want to hit it. Oh man. So, I'm not going to lie, my plan this morning for the pike was to fish a really floaty jig fly presentation on a light cheb, kind of 3 gram cheb, and just work it along the edges. And it was only this morning that I found out we weren't allowed to use jig flies, and it's a difficult river, it's quite fast, and that really slow popped marginal presentation is definitely what they're after. So I'm trying to fish a suspending crankbait and just kind of use that twitch bait just to twitch it along the side of the reeds, but it feels like it's moving a bit quick in this flow. It's just getting caught up in the flow a little bit. All I can do is keep covering it and see if we can find one. I'm already thinking about just going back to the canal and scratching for an hour.
Very unfortunate for Adam that the jig flies aren't allowed. A jig fly is technically a lure, but it is a fly, so that is why they're not allowed. But, you know, rules are rules, he has to stick to them. Personally, I'd stick a chatterbait or a spinnerbait in those conditions. It looks perfect for a nice spinnerbait. Fish it slowly against the current, and that would make quite a similar presentation. But he's got to work with what he has. Sounds like he's losing hope a little bit for the session, but he's still got a little bit of time. Fish. You never know if a 120 centimetre pike will come out of nowhere and smash his
we've
lure.
literally had first cast back to that first spot. We've got a pike, but again, it's a really small one. He might, I don't know, very similar size. So he is a couple of centimetres smaller than the other two. So unfortunately, he's not an upgrade. We've just put him back. We've scaled up on one rod to a slightly bigger shad. We've scaled down on the other rod. But I thought it's just a good idea just to sort of fan cast with the shad before we start putting the finesse bait through. Mainly because what you want to do when you get to a new spot, you want to catch the easier fish. And it's easier just to reel the shad straight in. And again, I like to fish these slower, hopping them along the bottom. Not really an option with this weed. So yeah, if we can get the easy fish out the way and then we can finesse it, hopefully get something a little bit bigger. And we're in a weird way, we're in a little bit of a privileged position because we've got 5 fish on the card that are all very easy to upgrade. So whether we catch more pike or perch, both are going to help. I mean, that's unfortunate, that one being like under 59, but you know, there's a lot of like 70s and 80s in this section, so we've been a bit unfortunate. Well, we probably another fish. He's come off, mate. Well, they may have switched on. That's the 6th pike I've lost today. What a bastard. Cool, he's angry. Jesus. I don't think there's much point putting him on the measure. It's another problem, really, I think about it. When you've got such small pike on the measure, everyone's got a chance, so I don't think he has. I'd say he's a low 50. I wouldn't mind a perch's length. Again, if you're fishing over somewhere like this and you just want to release the fish quickly, if you don't put the net on the floor, you can be over rocks and things and you've basically got your fish in a cradle. So it's just use your net as almost your unhooking mat. Don't put it on the floor, just hold it just above it, unhook your fish, straight back in, no dramas.
At least Ash is getting plenty of action, but very unlucky that they're undersized. And it's also unlucky that he's losing quite a few fish as well. I've noticed that he's fishing with fluorocarbon straight through. I'm not sure if that could be an issue with the amount of stretch in the line, but I'm sure Ash knows what he's doing with the fluorocarbon, so who am I to comment on that? But it is nice to see a few fish getting caught now. He's definitely getting a lot of small pike. He is wanting to push that score up a little bit more with some upgrades, but I don't think he really needs to at this point, as Adam is really running out of time to fill his card.
So we're going to move to the other side of that pike now because this side just seems a bit devoid of life. Not seen anything top or move and had no bites either. So we'll go the other side and we'll finish up. We'll finish up there, but we've got an hour left, almost bang on an hour. So we'll go right to the end and just hope we can upgrade something.
This is it, last hour. That is the worst colour I think I've ever seen this canal. That is, can only really describe it as kind of like cement colour. This has been one hell of a day's fishing, and just to add insult to injury, as soon as we've got here, I think probably the first boat of the day has opened up and come through as well. But we've got a lovely bit of flow on the far bank and some nice snags. And to be honest, if the canal was its usual clarity, this be a banker spot for a few perch, but let's see. I've got a little finesse rod and obviously a cheb. So as long as I don't fall down this bank, we're going to see if we can winkle something out. But I don't like to be negative in fishing, but today has got me feeling pretty negative. But this is definitely a spot where there are fish. And all we need is 3 tiny perch to be in some sort of contention. I'd imagine that Ash is probably, he said he's got somewhere that's fishable. If it's fishable, I'd imagine coming up to this time of the day, he might be able to winkle out a couple of wasps, but put it this way, if it was any normal day, I would not have stopped my car and come down here to have a look at this, because that really is 1.5 inches of visibility. Oh, this really is desperate times. I find myself dibbling down the side of a wall for a 20 centimetre perch, and to be honest, I can't see it happening.
With time running out, it is not looking promising for Adam. He's drawn a very short straw today with the weather that's happened. Tough conditions for both anglers, but it looks like Adam's really not having fishable spots near him. So, yeah, very unlucky for him. But that's the way it is with fishing sometimes. Sometimes you can get there and the conditions are perfect and you can catch as many fish as you could wish for, and other times it just seems like there's no fish in the water at all, which is what makes fishing special. It's always a chase, it's never guaranteed, and it's really shown that in this episode. We've got two great perch anglers and they've both really struggled to catch perch. So it's just about getting out there, putting the hours in, and when you drop on the right conditions with the right technique, you can have a really special day.
The end is drawing in, and I'm not going to lie, this has been a totally brutal day's fishing. This is the type of day that if you were fishing for fun, you would not be out here fishing in this. I mean, this bit of canal has usually got, on average, maybe 1.5 foot of viz on a good day, 2 or 3 feet, and today it's 1.5 inches, and they just don't react very well to it. The main kind of perch spots on the big river were completely flooded. There's flooded, and then there's what we had today. It's a real shame that we had to fish this today. I know Ash has had a very tough day as well. I know he's managed to find a couple of pike, so there's no way I'm going to catch 3 perch in this condition at the moment. There's a few bait fish dappling around, but with 20 minutes to go, to be honest, everything inside me, if it wasn't for the fact that this was a competition, I would have gone home probably 3 hours ago. It's difficult for me. I mean, I've even had the ultralight rod out with a 0.9 gram jig head and a tiny little Z-Man micro shad. We've tried twitch baits on the river for pike, and again, the river's just up and coloured, and you know, we weren't even getting hits from the trout that are in that section, and that is pretty much unheard of. Really tough days fishing, but you know, that's life. That is the way it is. Sometimes you blank. To be honest, I find it difficult to break out of the idea of trying to catch a better perch, and scaling down just for the sake of it kind of kills my soul, to be honest, as this entire day has 100% killed my soul. You've managed to see something I never thought I'd see, which is me on camera fishing an ultralight 0.9 gram jig head. You know, I've got to that level of desperate today and it's not come off. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Maybe next year. Best of luck to Ash in the final. He's a fantastic angler, great lad, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on. And I will hopefully see you guys next year. Cheers, guys.
I can hear you now.
Good man.
I can hear you now.
Good man.
Are you done?
Yeah, mate, I can't take any more of it, to be honest. It is a horrendous day's fishing, just such a bad day. Everywhere's flooded, and then the rest of the canal is like ashen grey. It's like 1 inch visibility, which down here is like death nail. So, yeah, very bad day.
Nothing at all.
No. So the main river where usually the pike would be, I didn't realise that we couldn't fish jig flies, which kind of destroyed my my plan. So it needed to be super slow down the edges of this river, and the only thing I had was kind of suspending crankbaits, which were, you know, stopping but sliding too much on the way down, and the river's a bit coloured and obviously very high. So nothing, mate. Absolutely horrendous days fishing, soul destroying, and definitely not one that I would have chosen to go out if it wasn't for this. So like I said, the banker spots for the perch this morning, one of them we couldn't even barely got onto the pontoon because it was so flooded, and then the second one was 5 foot underwater. So, yeah, pretty awful.
Oh dear, mate. Oh dear. Well, unfortunately, mate, I'm going to have to say, obviously, you know the result because of Ash had caught two pike, but he has had 3 perch as well.
Good man.
So he has filled his card as such. So no, with nothing special, you know, it's
Well, it's a tough day, mate. Tough day.
Yeah, 2 19-centimetre perch and an 18-centimetre, and the 2 pike. So you know, it has been you know, difficult for both of you, really. You know, so
Yeah.
it took you a long time to actually put Ash to catch as well. And I was like, that's why I was sending the guys text. Have you started yet?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been a hilarious day, really. Like I said, 5 foot underwater. Then we walked probably the best part of 25 minutes down to a little back stream that's usually kind of, you know, just runs off the side of the canal. And literally, as we arrived at the stream, there was 2 Canal and Rivers Trust guys. I mean, literally in the middle of nowhere, opening up these 3 sluice gates, and they flooded it. So we were within 50 metres of the spot and couldn't even fish it. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's, I mean, to be honest, like I said, I would never have come out in this if it wasn't for this. So it is what it is. That's fishing.
Oh well, that's fishing. Oh well, commiserations, mate.
Thanks, mate. Well, thanks for having me.
I'm sure we look forward to the episode, but well done for your efforts, mate. Good effort.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Right, speak soon. Bye now.
Bye. Good.
Well, Adam has thrown in the towel, and I really don't blame him. He's had such bad conditions to fish in. Ash has got a few minutes left now, but Ash's victory is sealed and he is going through to the finals. We'll catch up with him now for his last little bit of fishing, but he really doesn't need to catch any more fish. It would be nice to see a big one on the bank though before we finish this episode.
Maybe another trip to the hospital. Did one more, get to keep the match ball. That's definitely an upgrade if you don't bite. Oh, fuck me. That felt quite good actually. That was a decent fish, that. I think when you had a bit of a run like we've had today, the best thing you can do is just go, oh, box, and then move on, because we've had a shocker. If you're losing fish and you're losing it doing the same thing, you're like, okay, maybe I've got a hook, maybe my hook's not quite sharp enough, maybe I'm using the wrong tackle for the technique I'm using. We've lost pike on pike gear, we've lost pike on perch gear, we've lost them on shads, we've lost them on Texas rigs, we've lost them on Cheb rigs, the hooks are razor sharp. 7 pike. That's shit, isn't it? It's really shit. That's 7 lost pike, and what, 4 of them would have been upgrades. That one considerably. It ain't your day, it ain't your day. That is for sure. It's like 3:59 3/4. This is the last cast. We've really tried, giving it our best today. Really tried to get one of these some big perches, but we've had to fish today where we fished where we've had to rather than where we want to, which is a shame. If it was last week that we did this, we could have given you, I think me and Adam could have given you an amazing episode where potentially all 6 perch would have been in the 40s. I think that would have been almost a cert. And again, it's been a cold day today, but tomorrow it's like double the temperature of today. You just can't make it up, you know. So it's been tough. We've had little spells, 5-10 minute spells where the pike have really switched on, and then as quick as they've switched on, they've just stopped again. Lost 7 pike. I mean, how's that happen? 4 of them, I think, were upgrades. That last one, that was a really good fish, very heavy. just slowly going upstream. That could have been a serious pike, that. But again, it's one of them things. So I think if I hope Adam has caught a nice perch, just for you to see, you know, like I say, a focal point on the episode. It'll be nice to see him pull out a big, you know, a 40 plus centimetre fish, a real big one. Worst case scenario for me is if we lose, but by a few centimetres with the fish that we've lost, you know. But hopefully, he's either smashed us or he struggled as much as what we have today. If he has smashed us, then obviously those lost fish don't really matter. So, but that's it. That's it for round 2. Like I say, I do genuinely wish Adam all the best, and I hope he's put something on the bank, something big. So, yeah, if I don't see you in the final, well done, Adam. Really, like I say, with how hard it was this morning and that, if you have turned it round and found some big fish, then absolute credit to you. It's been a tough day, and well done. So we've just come into Predator Tackle to defrost and to find out the results.
And to put mud all over my floor.
Yeah, I do apologise about that, but that was a tough day.
And it's dark outside.
It's dark outside, yeah, that's another point. Yeah.
How have you done today, Ash? Have you enjoyed
Awful.
yourself?
Oh no, it's been enjoyable, but I lost 7 pike, lost a good one. Yeah, fish like a numpty at times. Yeah.
Well, it's been a tough day. I'm sure the viewers know that we had to reschedule. Unfortunately, Adam was ill on the day that we did have plans, so it was a bit of a last minute reschedule, and we've had a massive downfall of bad weather. Yeah. So it hasn't been a good. So the conditions were less than ideal, but conditions were pretty much less than ideal for both of you. I've done. I've done the results with Adam already, so the viewers will probably know where we're at with it anyway, but obviously, Ash, you don't.
Yeah.
So just to sort of confirm your card, you managed to have 3 perch.
Yeah.
And you've had 2 pike. No top water. Was there any
No,
action
there's no.
on that?
I didn't even take any top water baits with me.
No.
Yeah, I mean, absolute whacking great perch at 19 centimetres. So you know.
Yeah, just about the legal limit. So you were all right, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things like we was where we wanted to go. Where last week it fished well, and there was some big fish come out. We was fishing this week, doing a little bit of pre-fishing just to find somewhere viable with the flood water, and we found a venue. We had fish to over 40, and today they're just not to say they're not there, just we couldn't catch them. Probably a better way of saying it. Whether they were there or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, it was tough.
Well, Adam started a little bit earlier than you, and he walked pretty much everywhere.
Right.
So he's been on the bank as well, so no boat action for him. Right. He was all over the area of the Thames and some really top spots, and you know how good Adam has on some perch spots. Fish, yeah. But so he had an absolute grawler of a day as well. So
right, well at least that's both of us.
So Adam, cool. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Absolutely nothing. So you've
pike and perch.
He caught absolutely nothing all day. No. So he blanked. He had an absolute howler. So congratulations.
No, thank you for that.
Actually, when you turn around and say I've had a crawler, you've had a really good day because you managed to fill your card.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
You've had 3 perch.
I could stand here and be smug about it, but I feel for Adam because he's a quality angler, and fishing on them areas as well, you'd expect him to put something on the bank, but he's obviously had conditions, if not worse than what we've had.
It's been really bad. So
so
well done. Well done to the both of you.
Well done for that. I appreciate that.
Congratulations, you're in the final.
I don't know how with 19 centimetre perch is a big fish, but yeah, that's been tough. I mean, I was saying on camera and that it's such a shame that it couldn't have been done last week, because the chances are all 6 perch, 3 of Adam's and my 3, we could have, with how it was fishing, potentially have put 6 mid to maybe even upper 40s on the mat, and it could have been an excellent episode. But it's we can't control the weather. No. I feel for Adam. That's tough going.
Yeah, he's had a bad day, but yeah, it's been hard, but. Well done.
Tune
into the, you'll see Ash in the final. So tune into the next episode and find out who's going to be in the final with him. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
And that is the end of episode 7, the most difficult day's fishing we've seen in this competition so far. Ash Costa is going through to the finals though. Commiserations to Adam Jones, very, very difficult conditions for him. Just bad luck really. But Ash Costa is going to be the first angler going through to the finals, and we are very excited to announce the location of the finals, which will be held at Linear Fisheries, one of the most famous fisheries in the UK, mainly known for its carp fishing, but now they will be allowing lure fishing for the first ever time. So this is a really exciting opportunity to be able to film this on Linear Fisheries. It's known for holding some huge pike and huge perch, and these fish will not have seen lures before. So who knows what they could catch. This could make a really great finals. The anglers don't know they're going to be fishing on Linear Fisheries at this point, so it's going to be a surprise for them when they get there. But hopefully they catch some great fish, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how lure fishing is on Linear Fisheries. Next week in episode 8, it will be Robbie Northman versus Paul Danby. That should make for a great episode. Hopefully the weather's not too bad for those two guys. But despite the lack of fish, we do hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you join us next week. And remember, if you want to catch the finals live, head to the Big One Fishing Show in Farnborough, which is on the 1st and the 2nd of March. You'll be able to meet the anglers and watch the finals there. So if you're interested in that, get tickets for the big one and head to the Lure Live area. That's it from me now, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.